What's up? Let me switch the brand over to Circle Jerk. What up, Griffin? How we doing over here? I believe the raid worked. I hope the raid worked. If not, I'm going to chuck it in the Vanguard comment section really quick.
That's fine if it didn't.
We're live and alive. What up, everybody? I seriously don't know how to get the raid feature to work if that didn't work, because
it's fine if it didn't.
That was my best guess at it. Wow, magic. Nope. Yeah, it looks like it worked. What up, everybody? We're back over here. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get Circle Jerk off the ground. You might see some surprise streams, probably from me or Griffin. Gavin's pretty busy recently, but he might show up and do a solo stream every once in a while. Griffin might play Silent Hill. He might do all kinds of stuff over here, but this is going to be the horse race commentary. This is going to be the new era of gangster as it is. Gavin's getting his car fixed because the tree outside my house dropped a branch on it, destroyed his front windshield. It was the Whomping Willow's revenge because Gavin's been going off on JKB and a turf. But how you doing, Griffin? What's on the docket for today?
So we got our drama out of the way. It's time to get to the real drama, or the 2024 election. Am I right, guys? Wow. Two equal opponents in the match of a lifetime, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. I mean, I think we should probably start on the Donald Trump section. We are 2 weeks, 15 days away from election, and it's turned into quite a moment here at McDonald's. Can you let me in on that?
Absolutely. Let's take a look.
Let's see what's going on here.
An implication of that. But what is the logic behind this? And he's used the word
the economic agenda. He, as you know, is appears to be not well. Types of activity.
Audio is bad. Fuck.
Weird. I didn't think the audio was bad at all, and I to throw you off. I think we're fine with that guy. 100%. They do it all the time.
Damn, dude, you guys can't do that to me. I'm trying to yeah.
There's 190 people watching live, guys. What kind of quality do you think that man did here? Because this is normally different.
Sounds like you're going down a bumpy hill. Both of our audio is choppy. Interesting.
Let's check the settings.
Our audio is bad. Good.
That's so weird.
Let's see. Yeah, it is. It's clipping. It's good now? Oh, it's fixed. You do something differently?
Me? No. So it's our audio that they were talking about, not...
It's better now. Based.
Whatever.
All right, back to McDonald's.
Back to the shack. All right. Let's go. Sorry,
if you're on his campaign.
No, fuck. That's not the one I want. I want one of him just gabbing.
Yes. I love it when I have a fish that's filleted. When they fillet the fish, I love it. I love it. I love how the fish is a fillet. And then they put the cheese on it.
It's bad again. It's choppy again. What is going on? It must be do you think, are they trying to stop Circle Jerk?
I think it might be that they're trying to stop Circle Jerk America. That's so crazy because
it's just as soon as I start the video. All right, you got to present stuff. So let's go.
All right, cool. Just send me the link. Yeah.
Let's go Trump McDonald's first.
Do you have a window open? Are you sharing your window instead of just your tab? Because that could be what's fucking it up. I bet that's what's happening. I think they're sharing his window instead of the tab. Amateur hour. Oh, this is what happens when you let the novice find. He shares the whole window, and then we can get Griffin's voice in the background and also him hearing it, and then it fucks up the audio. I see. It's Griffin's first day on the microphone, man. We gotta get you some reps. You should pick up a day job, producing content or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I need to learn about the space.
Man, you know what? one day you'll learn to value production value in the way that the Vanguard does. You know, there's one thing Gavin and I have always taken seriously throughout our career. It's the production value. You know, it's the aesthetic. You know.
All right, let me try this one.
But I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again. Thank you. Look at that. Look at that. How are you? Thank you, Mr. President. You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet. You're not ordinary. I mean,
Yeah, they scripted so hard. It reminds me so much of that scene from The Office, Griffin, where it's like, you know, I hired a man once and he said, Mr. Scott, you have changed my entire life. Now I can bring my whole family here. And I thought, wow, I'm really changing this man's life. Yeah, of course, I had to fire him at the end of the day because he wasn't very good at his job. But, you know, the thought that counts, you know, thank you, Mr. That's fucking hilarious. Honestly, Trump in another life, if he'd been born broke and this, you know, in the 80s, I think he would have loved running a McDonald's franchise. I think he would have thought that he was like, you know, the big Huna, you know, the big guy. And I think he would have loved it. I think that would have been much more respectable outcome for the entire world.
All right,
still bad. People are saying it's still kind of choppy.
I'm gonna stop playing videos then. If it's a video thing that's fucking it up, maybe you can try the next video. But yeah, so I mean, like, we're going to look at the Trump side. We're going to look at the Harris side. But with Trump stuff, I mean, like, this McDonald's thing did seem like a huge moment. It felt like a huge moment where maybe he could win. It's like there's just no way to get
Griffin,
mad
you spend way too much time around Republicans. You're like, he could win. I think he's got it. I think
you spend
a narrow horse race.
Oh, okay. So wait, who has a more grounded political view? The guy who only talks to people who agree with him, or the guy that has to talk to everyone?
The guy that has to talk to everyone is much more thoroughly propagandized. I think it's very close. I think it's a very close race. Close. You know, Donald Trump, he's not going to get embarrassed. He's not going to get humiliated. It's going to be very close, folks. He went to McDonald's. Did you see him? What a wonderful campaign strategy. He went to McDonald's. He was shot at.
So you don't think that going to McDonald's was a good look?
No, it was a good idea. It was a good idea. I'm kidding.
Especially in a time where the number one goal of the Democrats is to make Trump look dangerous and to make Trump look like a danger to democracy. It's kind of hard when he's like handing out fries and McDoubles out of bags in the drive-through. It was like a very smart political moment, and it just reminded me that I was like, whoa, like this is like the first time Trump decided to be fun again, because like all of this campaign has just been grievance, whining, bitching, complaining. And people don't really like when Trump is whining about losing. People like when he hands out McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, this was actually politically savvy. It's funny. One of the interesting things about Donald Trump, one of the remarkable things, I guess, is you can tell he genuinely loves McDonald's. This man loves getting a burger and fries and a Diet Coke, right? And almost all of his really memorable political moments have happened within some, you know, vicinity of a McDonald's, whether that was going to East Palestine and buying everybody McDonald's. Back in 2016, he loved going into McDonald's and campaigning. It was a big fixture, you know, and it was smart, too, because it made him a normal guy. Now you have all these liberals, these out-of-touch assholes coming out here talking as if like only deeply impoverished people in the, you know, South eat McDonald's, right? As if they would never dream of eating at a McDonald's. Meanwhile, you go anywhere in this fucking country and you walk into a McDonald's, you're going to see all kinds of people, right? Because people grew up eating that, right? It became normalized. So I think it is an effective political strategy to make an appearance in McDonald's if you're Donald Trump. But people are acting like this is the end of the world. Like this is somehow a comeback tour for Donald Trump. And that's just such insane cope. If you're gonna be like, no, this is what he finally got her, guys. He worked a 30-minute public publicity stunt shift at a McDonald's, guys. He's got it in the bag. That's because he's run such a horseshit campaign this entire process. He's gotten in his own way over and over and over again. He could have beaten Kamala Harris if he wasn't so dramatically incompetent. If he actually knew how to land a strike against her. This is as close as he's come. And it's just because they wound him up at the back and said, go into McDonald's and be yourself. And he was finally able to execute that, right? It's the exact opposite of when you wind up JD Vance and you tell him to go into a donut shop, right? He was horrible.
Yeah, they were just sending JD out to do all this stuff, and Trump is just way better at shaking hands and meeting people. Like, the thing about Trump too is, like, even before politics, like, people would be like, oh yeah, like Trump is like obviously a scummy guy and like a business hack or whatever, but like if people that like had to like be around him, like he does have like an in-person charm that like he hasn't been putting out there at all this entire campaign. But yeah, I think it was just like a solid a good moment. What is it going to be like what releases the flood of MAGA? No, but any bit counts. 2 weeks away from an election that's like very neck and neck.
Yeah, what's your real thoughts on that, Griffin? Because you guys know my take. You know Gavin's take for the most part, right? He's a little softer on it than me, but we've been forecasting a 2020 or a 2012, excuse me, style outcome where the Republicans hella smelled their own farts the entire time. They deeply believed that Mitt Romney was going to run away with it. They thought that Obama was so unpopular after the first 4 years that there was no chance that he was going to win re-election. And guess what happened? Barack Obama came out, handedly won re-election. Now the Senate and the House didn't fare very well in that election for the Democrats, right? But he was able to win, right? And I genuinely believe, and you're starting to see it now because it's starting to break. You're going to start to see polls that show Kamala really neck and neck with Trump in places like Georgia, like Arizona, like Nevada, like North Carolina, right? And she's not going to win all of them, but she's going to win some of those 50-50 races. And it's going to be I'm predicting a 303 electoral college outcome. And there's no way to call that a particularly close election given what we've seen recently and what the expectation is.
303 like the band.
303, do the Helen Keller and talk with your hip.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, like, I think, like, yeah, you could probably say that Kamala definitely has a higher ceiling. Trump definitely is a known quantity in a way that Kamala will continue to be someone that people want to learn more about, like, until the day of the election or whatever. So she definitely has a higher ceiling. So, like, betting man, probably Kamala, but it's a close race. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be. And we'll get into reasons why on Kamala's side that it's also a close race, like what's happening right now in Michigan and stuff like that with Arab American voters. But like, yeah, on the Trump side specifically, it seems like his goal over the last month has really been go on podcasts, make himself seem normal and not scary, and try to avoid like any policy conversation. And we'll see if that pays off.
Yeah. One thing that I did think was kind of hilarious, and this might be bad audio for everyone. We'll see. Let's
see. Tight. You got the salt on it. Never touches the human hand. Very good.
Never touches the human hand. Can you guys hear that? I just thought that was hilarious because people forget all the time that Trump's a huge germaphobe, and that's one of the things that he liked about going behind McDonald's is how like standardized it is, how mechanical it is, robotic almost.
Right. But like, outside of like audio's good. Yes. All right. Well, we're gonna have Zach do it then because something's fucked on my end.
I think it's the window issue, but we'll figure it out for next time. Don't worry about that.
There's something going on. But outside of like just what Trump is trying to do in terms of no policy, just vibe on podcast and try to like activate new like young men voters or whatever. It's really bizarre what else is happening because it seems like the majority of the Trump ground game and funding is coming from like pro-Israel people and Elon Musk. Elon Musk has like become like the entire Trump campaign over like the last 2 months. The Elon Musk super PACs are like the people that are doing like the most spending, most outreach. And now Elon is giving people $1 million checks out for free on stage. Here, I'm sending you this right here in the StreamYard chat. First play.
Sweet.
So Elon is hey Zach, next time you go from VG to CJA, put the link in VG chat too. Yeah, the rates are still funky. We're working on it. So Elon is now basically handing people millions of dollars to try to basically convince them to vote for Trump through this workaround. Now, people are obviously saying, like, wait a second, how is this legal? And essentially the workaround is that he's not asking people to vote. he is having a lottery where registered voters can enter and then like potentially win $1 million. And obviously very coded through free speech and Second Amendment rights. And so it's kind of like a weird loophole that he's trying to pull off here. Let's watch a little bit of this clip.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get it so that it looks a little better here for everyone.
Yeah,
just go full screen.
That was
and then
good.
I'll
That was good.
zoom in. See.
So every day between now and the election, we'll be awarding $1 million, starting tonight.
Take that, Andrew Yang. You gave out $1,000
Yeah.
bucks, you broke boy.
Broke boy.
No wonder your steak looks like shit.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So tonight's
Vote
person is John Breyer.
.org.
So, by the way, John had no idea. So, anyway, you're welcome. So
This dude can't even be likable when he's giving you $1 million, dude. He can't even. It's like this guy's like, yeah, you just gave me $1 million. Now I'm staying the fuck away from you. Look how he immediately backs away. He's like, the energy on Elon Musk has to be so, just so dreadful.
Yeah, I mean it's bizarre and pretty like bleak because there are some audio issues. All right, we'll just talk then and we'll figure this out next stream. I'm glad it's not me. I was being gaslit and girl kept and boss keeped.
I'm gonna listen really quickly to the audio and see what's up.
That's fine. I'll talk. So yeah, like people are like, how is this legal? And the thing is just like he gets fucking multi-million grants from the federal government every year. He's like one of the richest men on the planet. And I guess he's just proving that you can just kind of get away with doing shit like this. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of reasons people bring up for like why you should vote for Kamala or whatever. And I am not advocating to vote for Kamala, but Jesus Christ, like the idea of Elon like getting a hold of like the Department of Education or something like that will just be really bleak. Just like turning one of the major infrastructural parts of our government into like X the everything app is going to be like atrocious.
It literally does remind me of that airport fiction book. I don't want to call it airport fiction. I call everything that's just like regular non-classic fiction airport fiction because I don't ever want to sound like a dumb reader because I don't read anything sophisticated. But I read that book, The Circle, by that Dave Eggers guy, who I think is actually a respected author in most scenes. But anyway, that's what I get vibes of every time I see Elon Musk anywhere. Like him and Mark Zuckerberg are finally going to team up. One of them is going to subsume the other Kirby style, and then we're all going to have one app, and that's how you pay your taxes, and that's how you drive your car, and that's how you pay your electric bill, and all that stupid shit.
Yeah. So it's like
also I checked the audio and I just listened to it while you were talking earlier, Griffin. We're totally fine. Not when we play videos, but when we're just talking.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So yeah, I mean, the other thing that I think is different about this election that people don't talk enough about is in 2020, Trump made a significant effort to fuck himself over by telling people that early voting and mail-in voting was bad or wrong. Like Biden only won like
he wanted to see the long lines of people going out on election day to vote for him. That's why, if anybody's curious.
So like the thing is he was like, so he fucked himself so hard and only lost by 1,000 votes in a couple states with Biden. And now it seems like the message is a lot clearer in terms of like making sure people go out and vote, that people are like activated and want to vote early and like want to mail and vote. So I think all that stuff is also like helping Trump make this a pretty close race. But so that's kind of the Trump stuff. But then we got over here on the Kamala side, and so Kamala has basically decided
that, Pennsylvania, a key swing state, has seen a lot more Democrat early voting, almost double. Yeah. Or actually, I think more than double. Yeah, more than double. Here we go. So just a PSA. I think that when it comes to early voting, he's still going to get spanked on that this time around.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see state by state how that comes in. What I have seen in a larger picture, not just in like that specific state, is that it is still mainly just old people who are doing the most early voting, which could in some states like show early returns for Republicans.
Well, old people vote at the highest rate, right? And they are also right now the bread and butter of the Kamala campaign, which I think is really different from from a traditional Republican race, right? Kamala has gobbled up what I would consider the moderate swing voter, who's an older person who does remember a time when you weren't just so deeply entrenched in your own political view that you would never consider reaching across the aisle. I am forecasting that because these people can remember 1980 when California went red with Reagan, okay, because these guys can remember back to when 1968 or 1972, excuse me, Nixon won like every state but Massachusetts and I think one or two others, right? They can remember when states went all across the board. And I think a lot of them, they would much rather see Kamala Harris pat themselves on the back for being woke, for being moderate, for not being, too racist to vote for a black woman, right? And I think they will show up for her in a real fashion. And I think a lot of the Trump support is soft. I think if you make teenage boys, 25-year-old boys, part of your main critical demographic to deliver to keep yourself relevant, you're going to get.
They might not come out. Yeah.
Show up to vote, right? Bernie Sanders even had to deal with this, guys. A lot of the people who made a big fixture of their personality, I love Bernie Sanders, they didn't fucking vote either.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I voted 10 times for Bernie Zionist Sanders.
Every state against my ballot. Every single state. I wrote it in.
So I got this article from the New York Times here. Don't worry, no audio chat.
No audio chat.
It's called "Inside the Last Ditch Hunt" by Harris and Trump for undecided voters. Because most people have made up their minds, but we got to go to the undecideds. So one thing that Harris just keeps doing is running this fucking Liz Cheney. Let's see. She goes. On Thursday in Wisconsin, she made a direct call to Republicans, particularly those put off by Mr. Trump. She reminded the audience that she had the backing of Liz Cheney, the conservative former congresswoman from Wyoming, whom Miss Harris is campaigning with in 3 states on Monday. She's putting her out there 3 fucking times. Last week, Miss Harris appeared in Pennsylvania with dozens of Republicans. And it just seems like that they started out with going like Republicans are weird and we're not going back. And instead, they completely have reverted over the last month and a half to actually Republicans are sick. Republicans are chill as fuck. And
I think that is one way to read it. If from like when we were talking about this the other day. I think that's how you read it if you're a lefty, right? If that's how you read it if you're like us. If you hate Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, if you know that she's an odious piece of shit, if you know that she lost by a fat margin in her re-election campaign, if you know that basically in terms of real politics, she's horrible. But here's what your analysis did not include, Griffin. People who are swing voters are not people who are politically invested up until the end of the road. Like, so I guarantee you, if you pulled somebody who is a true undecided and asked them what they thought about Dick or Liz Cheney, more often than not, they would think, I don't know. Or isn't she a Republican?
Exactly. So she adds nothing. She adds nothing.
She doesn't
like if you brought on
a good idea. I'm telling you.
No. If you brought on like fucking George W. Bush, I'd be like, sure. But like you're bringing on someone who is a loser, who has no base and no one cares for except MSNBC audiences that are already bought in.
I'm not telling you that it's a good idea. I'm telling you, here's what they're trying to do.
You are.
I think you're misrepresenting what they're trying to do. What they're not trying to do is say, we're the like. They are weird and they should be hammering that more. That's my view, right? But what they're trying to do is say every single person in the entire country who has been associated with this guy hates him. Every single person besides this narrow niche MAGA off the realm of reality band of people, they're over here, right? And then the whole rest of the country is over here. That's their strategy, right? Their strategy is to
And it's
say,
not working,
even
and it
these
sucks.
odious people. What?
It's
I
not
mean,
working.
we don't know if
it's
I mean,
well, no, we can see that it's not working because she has not consistently gone up in the way they were going up when they said these fuckers are weird. That shit was popping way harder, and she has started to slow her ascent.
well, you're also,
and I think it's particularly related to the fact. No, you've been grandstanding, so I'm going to talk now. It completely correlates to, like, okay, let's say Liz Cheney isn't even a negative, but she's a net zero. And when you do things in weeks before election, everything should count and everything should fucking matter. And bringing on a loser that's fucking only fucking react people that care about it are MSNBC panels is not the way to push the needle farther. You like actually get a Republican that's cool then, or a Republican that's charismatic. But instead you have the lamest lady that no one has, like you just admitted, an opinion on. And if they do, it's like, is she Republican? Whatever, who cares? Like, that has not been what has made people excited.
Okay. Well, to respond to that, what made people excited, in my view, wasn't it was a little bit of the weird thing, but I also think what I've come to believe is that it was all the hysteria of something that's never happened before happening, right? It was the fact that we went from having Joe Biden, who was the nominee, he did the first debate, he did so horribly in the debate that they swapped him out. This hadn't happened in anybody's life. That forced people to pay attention. Now they're paying attention, and they land a haymaker. They land a haymaker with their weird thing. Now, I think they should have kept up their weird thing. I think that's totally true. But I think that what they have decided is enough, and I kind of agree with them, right? Like, I don't think that it's the best policy vision for America, but if I'm looking at the numbers, I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to get the job done in November. And if I'm just calling balls and strikes, them saying the entire fucking country versus Donald Trump and his MAGA movement of JD Vance and people who are already unlikable. Like, it's really easy to pick apart the Kamala Harris campaign and say what she's done wrong. Donald Trump has done almost nothing right since the start of this campaign season. He has gotten in his own way over and over and over again, which is why he's going to lose, which is why it doesn't matter if he's on stage with Liz Cheney.
Okay, so exactly. So you are arguing that Liz Cheney is a net zero then and can't hurt Kamala. What I'm saying is, leading up to an election, you have a finite amount of mana to cast spells. Every day counts. Every day should be gaining you something. Should not be a lateral move. And when you make lateral moves, it allows your opponent to make vertical moves and do other things. And instead, this isn't just a lateral move, because it forces you to throw away all of the successful messaging that you started with. So I disagree that it's a lateral move, but even if it is a lateral move, it's a stupid fucking waste of time, and we should be focusing on actual issues rather than this lady that no one gives a fuck about.
Well, I agree with all of that, but when I talk about the entire presidential race, I'm sort of assuming that they're going to make bad decisions, right? That they're not going to represent me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a bad decision. It's not about representing me. I'm just saying, if I was running the campaign, that's not how to win. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, like, I'm a lefty and Liz Cheney doesn't represent my politics, and that's why I'm mad. No, have George W. Bush on stage if you think that, like, you think like uber Republicans are going to help you, but you're not even doing that. You're picking these limp-right MSNBC panel losers
that you're making it out to be. I agree with all the points that you're saying, Griffin. I just don't think that it's like, oh my God, now that she's doing, like, no, it's annoying. It's a bad look. I think it's a silly thing to do, but I think because of how dreadful Donald Trump is, dude, it doesn't matter. And that's what I think allows them to get away with all of this. They could just do whatever the fuck they want because it's impossible. It's almost impossible to lose to this guy.
Now, I would agree with you if the polls were showing her like fucking 10 points ahead or something, but in a neck and neck race, it's kill or fucking be killed, and having lame things where it's not, Liz Cheney isn't just a fucking footnote. She's showing up at 3 rallies on Monday. It's just like, this is just not how you want to maintain a strong lead. And that's all I'm saying. Like, if I was a Democratic operative, I would be raising hell about this, not from a politics angle, like in terms of like, oh, Liz Cheney doesn't represent what I want out of Kamala Harris's presidency. Like, who cares? It's just shitty. It's just shitty campaign strategy.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, the whole campaign strategy for the last like month and a half has been dog shit, right? But all I was pushing back on was like, I don't think that she's cooked or anything. I don't think that, oh gosh, she's bringing out Liz Cheney, and now it's like, oh god, like we should be panicked, because what I think they've already done with this entire campaign, and everybody has decided they're just going to roll their eyes and be fine with it, is that they're going to bring out every single odious fucker that they can who is not Donald Trump and say, look at all of us, we're not Donald Trump, make up your mind. And I think that failed the first time with Hillary Clinton. I don't think it'll fail again, because people do not want Donald Trump to be president again, and they've already shot the hostage and said, fine, if this is what you're going to offer us, give us Donald Trump. I don't think they're going to do that a second time.
CJA, please anoint mods. Never. I did see some comments get deleted earlier. I don't know who did that.
Oh, maybe somebody said something about the Jews, and I didn't want to get a fuck. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's sorry guys. We're not like that. Okay. They not like us.
Unfortunately, that's the only moderating I did. I banned one guy that was talking about like the fucking Jews and shit, and I was like, all right, well, we don't need to open that can of words. I don't want to wake up tomorrow to Ethan Klein fucking freaking out about how Circle Jerk America has enabled fascism.
We're almost there. I want to be on an Instagram story by end of night.
Also, Griffin, somebody pointed out kids named Griffin are all named Maverick these days, I've observed. What's your response to that?
That's so true. That's so true. That's undeniably true. Thank you, Top Gun. Thank you, Top Gun Revival. Yeah, so I guess, like, you know, people are like, when I am saying something's a bad campaign strategy, I'm not being like some alarmist that's saying like this is what makes her lose. I'm just saying it seems like both Trump and Kamala have been trying to do everything they can not to win by doing stupid ass shit in the last 2 months. So I'm pulling this article back up because I've got a little bit more here.
Here, let me you a little
we can't play any of the videos because of the audio, but her answers have continued to be, for lack of a better word, like fucking, they're arsler. They're dumb. They're stupid ass.
I'll be the resident retarded stayer. All right, I've got document to prove my clout.
Yeah, you're documented. So ICE can remove you one day.
So one day it'll be like the end of a Stanley Kubrick film. They'll just whisk me off and electric shock my head.
But yeah, I mean, they've essentially given up on Michigan in terms of like her messaging. Like every time they ask, what are you going to do about Michigan, Palestinians? She's like, October 7th was the worst tragedy ever. And she just like reverts back to that. Nothing's going to change there. Trump's targeted voters. This article reads, the Trump campaign's research found that up-for-grab voters were about 6 times as likely as other battleground state voters to be motivated by their views of Israel's war in Gaza. The campaign also found that undecided voters were less likely to be white than those in battlegrounds overall, and more likely to be black. About 25% of undecided voters are black, according to the Trump team. So, I mean, they're just leaving just a huge fucking opening here. And I just think that a lot of people were just like, oh, don't worry about this. It's okay. We're going to do a fucking Holocaust on your TikTok and your Instagram every day of your life that is fucking escapable. And you're going to see dead babies every single day. And you're still going to vote for us. I'm sorry, but that strategy is failing. And they're willing to bet the whole farm on just letting Israel do what it wants. They're willing to say, hey, this is toxic poison to us getting reelected. Over 80% of Democrats want to see something different, and we refuse. We would rather lose and let Israel keep killing kids.
My response to that is, what is your analysis going to be if, and I'm not saying it will happen, but I kind of expect it to, the American people say, well, we actually don't, like, we care about it and we disagree with what's happening, but it's not a needle mover for us on election day. Like, for example, every time the Democrats win the White House, they're always pulling down on the economy, right? And you'll read a bunch of articles on Fox News saying, look, guys, it's going to be really hard for the Democrats to win when they're losing on look, our guy's up 6 points when it comes to the economy, right? And then on election day, people will, make up their own mind because they don't want this odious fascist, wannabe dictator to take over their country, right? I genuinely think that, unfortunately, as sick as it sounds, and it is a bummer, and I realized that it was going to happen when we were in Chicago, Griffin, and Gavin and I thought there were going to be huge anti-genocide protests. We thought there was going to be just like flooding the streets of Chicago, 68 style, of people demanding that we have a different, policy delivered. And when we got there, and it was like maybe 5,000 people max at the biggest rallies. I was like, oh, the Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, they're going to ignore all of this because the ruckus hasn't entered the street in a meaningful enough way, right? So I'm wondering, where do we go from here? Because I've already been like kicked down all the way. Okay, like I don't have any expectations. I just really want Trump to lose. I'm sorry. I don't want to see any. I just want Trump. I know that is the only possible thing that can make me go, oh, all right then. That's the only outcome I'm ever going to fucking get from this, right? So you could take all of my fucking analysis with a grain of salt. But what I'm saying is that what if on, November the 6th, Wednesday morning, we wake up, Kamala has had a sizable turnout. We see like 68% of the country voted, which is an increase from last time. And we're like, you know what? She pretty much safely got the job done. Because then you have to look back on yourself and you're being like, damn, all these people said that, oh, because of Gaza, she's going to lose. And now they're going to be so much more emboldened after that. Right? Like, how does the left respond then? Because clearly what we're doing right now isn't moving them to the left, right? So we end up in November 6th, we've all found out that the rest of the country really doesn't care as much as we thought about this, right? And then it just continues on. I feel like people should be kind of pivoting how they're talking about it and say like, hey, we have to understand that foreign policy is not going to move the needle in a presidential election. You know what I mean? Unless American troops are coming home dead, I honestly I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? And how do we do
they might start. Yeah, they might start coming home dead. Yeah, I think that listen, if Kamala wins, it's impossible. It's going to be impossible for you to be like, oh, well, boom, Israel, Gaza, no one cares about it, because there's like multiple issues driving the election, obviously. So to be like, oh, well, this really shows Americans don't care about it. I don't think that's true in the polls. And what this article clearly shows is that, it's obviously not going to change every state, but it could change certain really important states, and undecided voters are thinking about it. And if like you say, care so much about Trump not winning, well, the people running against him should care just as much and want to do things to increase their chances of winning, and that it is cynically politically something that they should do if they want to win. But they don't. I mean, but Israel matters more. So like any kind of Achilles heel, any kind of weakness that is easy to patch up like this. I mean, the majority of Democrats want to see a ceasefire happen. It is politically cynical to win to do that, and they just seem to not want to. So again, like you're saying, like, oh, this election will decide if people really care about Israel or Gaza.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's true. Yeah,
that's not what I said. I said that what we're seeing a lot of commentary is that people are saying the Democrats are throwing this election away. They're 100% going to lose because of Gaza. And I am saying the left needs to be prepared to understand.
Yeah. So
who's saying all the time on Twitter?
I didn't say it, but yeah.
No, I wasn't putting it in your work. No, that's what I'm saying. I know. I like Griffin. Like I agree with your analysis when it comes to Palestine. But what I'm saying is that I think the left needs to reckon with the fact that that if so many of us are operating under this assumption that like, oh my gosh, like this is going to cost the Democrats the election, right? And then they do just kind of double down and stick their middle finger at all of us, which is 100% what they're going to do. It's what they've always done. After Tim Walz, it's been middle finger, right? But my thought process behind all of this is not that I think that's good. That's not that I'm based like the Democrats have given us the middle finger. I think that they're going to give us the middle finger and still win. Okay, they're going to give us the complete middle finger on everything and then still win. And then where does that leave us in the long run? Like, yes, we get to be happy that Donald Trump lost, but now we have gotten the middle finger on everything, and everybody like doesn't know where to go from there, right? Like, so what is the plan?
So this whole idea that like the left will be either allowed to be treated like a nice ally or to be discarded is silly. They'll discard you either way. Like they don't need you if they win, and they'll blame you if they lose, and they'll blame you either way. Like they're not on the same team as you. So this idea that like, oh well, then maybe we can like work together and not be like kicked out or whatever. Like no, like the Democrat Party needs to be like destroyed from within, and the majority of the people in it like need to be ousted or over the next 50 years and remake the Democratic Party essentially. So yeah, this idea that if we hold Democrats' feet too hard to the fire, that we are going to be on the outs or discarded. We already are on the outs. Like there's no bringing us in if we're saying stop killing kids and they're saying actually we have to keep doing it. So
how do you make them hear you?
Right. Well, I certainly think that one of the things that would have put a lot of pressure over the last 3 months is if there had been a considerable movement to say that they wouldn't vote for Kamala unless she changes it. But instead, what seemed like the uncommitted movement tried to do at the DNC was try to play the inside game, try to get a speech, try to play nice. And they told him to kick rocks, to eat shit. So, I mean, in this moment, like, yeah, I don't really know personally what I don't want to tell anyone what they personally want to do, like with their vote or how they should vote or whatever. I'm simply outlining that Kamala is allowing for there to be a potentially disastrous loss by not changing on this issue. And I'm just tracking the things that are showing the reasons that she seems determined to lose: running Republicans with no charisma and no fan base, continuing this major issue with Arab Americans that I think really won't vote for her or just won't show up. And so those are like my points.
No,
yeah.
I agree. I look, I agree that she's running a dog shit campaign. What I'm more like trying to hone in on, and I don't think I'm doing a very good job of articulating myself, so sorry guys, but I think that we all need to kind of adjust how we're thinking about this, because I just think that there's so much sentiment on the left that, like, good luck pushing the Democrats to the left, good luck moving them once they're in office. And it's like, okay, well, we clearly haven't moved them during the election cycle, and at every opportunity that we had to make a big stink, I was so ready. Okay, we were so ready to go to Chicago and make a big stink and say we're gonna fucking chain ourselves, like, do whatever, right? There wasn't that. It didn't happen, right? You have the Waleed Shahid running the uncommitted movement in tears outside of the fucking convention center, just deeply. What did he say? He says, I am going to vote for Kamala Harris, and I'm not going to tell anybody else to do it, right? So we got effectively nothing, and that's not on Waleed. He did more work than anybody could ever dream to try and move the Democrats on that. But so we got nothing there, right? We see the Democrats give us nothing across the board. My real concern, right, and it's something that I desperately want to see, but I get like a sinking feeling in my stomach about the consequences of it too, right? I want to see them win on this ticket. I want to see them beat Donald Trump desperately, because I don't want to see 5 Supreme Court justices that have been appointed by Donald Trump. I don't want to see the further erosion of people, of the LGBT community having their rights eroded. I don't want to see climate change. I don't want to see, Elon Musk in charge of the fucking education system in this country, right? As you mentioned earlier, I want to have a chance at fighting back down the road, but we're also kind of allowing them to learn that Bill Clinton lesson, right? When he beat Herbert Walker Bush on a message that he absolutely deserved to lose with, right? And then they implement NAFTA, and then they implement all this horse shit that ends up hurting us down the line. And then what does that give us? It gives us George Bush, who for 8 more years hurts us down the line. So I'm like, what do we do as a collective left to say, of course we're pissed off about all of this. Of course we want the genocide to stop. I'm tired of seeing dead babies too, okay? I want to know, how do we collectively get together and actually have some force? Because right now we're so powerless. We're all just kicking up dust on the sidelines. We're trying to do something, but we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I think that I think certainly this like idea of just like, well, we got to work with Kamala and hope she gives us something maybe after, even though she's not promised us anything, is not the right strategy. It's the strategy they tried at the DNC. And I think that the uncommitted movement fucked up when they didn't try to mobilize their people. They kept talking about having hundreds of thousands of uncommitted voters. Why didn't you activate them? Why didn't you send them to the DNC? Because they're trying to do what I am kind of hearing from you, which is like, we need to kind of like work with the Democrats and like make sure they win, because they're going to give us something at the end of this rainbow.
We don't have any time to negotiate in 2 weeks. What do you mean? Get something from the Democrats
Right, exactly. So it's too late for any of that. So I'm just not I'm not certain that this like strategy of like, oh, if we just obey the Democrats and make sure they win, that then they will like listen to us. And that's like outside of any of the context of like, oh, was Trump going to be worse and any of that. I'm just saying like the strategy of being nice to Democrats continues to seem to fail. And I would have liked to see more of a knife to the throat of the party over the last 3 to 4 months, instead of like this wish casting about what Kamala may or may not do without any specifics.
No, I mean, God, I totally agree with you. I'm surprised we didn't have any leadership on that front, right? Because, I mean, to your point, where were all of those people? And that's one of the things, Griffin, that's what makes me worried, okay? Like, people say, oh gosh, like it's going to ruin these potential voting blocks for Kamala Harris in Michigan, right? And she definitely deserves to have those people not vote for her, right? She does not deserve those votes, 100%. Okay. But those same people that were for sure not going to vote for her, they also didn't come and protest outside the DNC. We also haven't seen like waves of mass demonstrations in the lead up to this, right? We didn't even see that on the anniversary of the first year, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, fuck. What do we do? Also, Gavin's back. And as many people in the chat have pointed out, Gavin, you're needed to keep the conversation's temperament low. You know what I mean? When I'm over here and I'm just like, ah! They're like, where's Gavin? To keep things a little more chill. Okay. You're pissing everyone off.
So Lynn Stack says in the chat, but how did uncommitted fuck up? They were holding out and would have been blamed if Dems lost Michigan, which I would say, well, they fucked up by not bringing their voters out to the DNC, by not activating their base. But largely, like, isn't that the whole theory of uncommitted, that yeah, you can blame us for losing Michigan if you don't follow what we want,
right?
Like that you didn't like earn us. Like that was like the inherent promise threat of uncommitted. And instead uncommitted like wanted to get a speech at the DNC and got played. And like, yeah, I get it. Like, I almost like don't want to call out uncommitted because I love the people that run it. They have way more fucking skin in the game than this white piece of shit right here. But I will say tactically, I found it to be a total mistake. And I still support them. They've got more skin in the game than me. They're way more in touch with the conflict than I am. But I still think it was a mistake.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a similar situation, I feel like, with the Green Party as far as these sort of strategic conversations. It's like, what truly is the correct way to challenge power? Do you advocate for voting against the Democrats, or do you concede that, yeah, it's going to, be the Democrats that we're going to have to work with, and it's better that we work with them than the Republicans? Do you think that, I just came into this conversation, obviously, do you think that the uncommitted movement, do you think they should have, like, are you saying they should have endorsed a third party campaign or something?
No, I think they should have. I know, because that would have been a distraction. And I mean, although there is a lot of people saying they are going to vote for Jill Stein, I think the majority of the Arab Americans that don't vote for Kamala just won't vote at all. And I think that is it would have been even clearer to me. Like, oh no, like we're not getting confused with Green Party. We're not getting confused with third party people. Like, this is just the issue. It is all about this issue. So I think just saying we wouldn't have voted. And we're now seeing a lot of people saying is that they are, I mean, there's this clip here. Let me see. We can't play clips. There's something wrong with our stream where the video is fucking up. But there was an MSNBC panel. What were you saying?
Oh, I just said that's weird.
Yeah. There was this like MSNBC panel with like Arab American voters. There was one kind of lady who I thought was a little out there who was like, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, okay, that's silly. But the other three said they weren't probably going to vote at all. I guess what I was talking to Zach about was just that, like, I'm not making any prescriptions about who's going to win, who's going to lose. I was just kind of chronicling ways that I feel like over the last month and a half, like Kamala's team has just gone a really bad direction from the direction that was so strong in the beginning with Republicans are weird. And now it seems like Republicans are normal and we want to normalize
we are Republicans,
and we are Republicans. And we're seeing Michigan potentially like might just be gone. That's not saying that I think Trump will be better. I'm just saying that it's been baffling to see them kind of get really Hillary Clinton with it in this last like month and a half. Maybe that's all they really know how to do at the end of the day.
I think also a part of it is like, I ultimately think Democrats are going to go with the strategy that they think will get them across the finish line. And in this case, we'll see if it ends up being true or not, but I think they clearly have decided that like the strategy that is necessary to get Kamala Harris across the line is to appeal to older voters, boomers, and frankly, people that are probably a little bit freaked out and uncomfortable by the fact that she's a black woman, the first black woman candidate for president. And to a lot of people, they don't know shit about what Kamala stands for. All they know about her is that she's a black woman. Therefore, they assume she's really far left or liberal, right? So I think that's why they've been doubling down on that strategy you mentioned, Griffin, although I don't agree with it. And I think it's fair to say that, like, I mean, the left, are, people in general that analyze elections, ourselves included, we love to point to Obama and say, well, he did so well by running a progressive campaign, by not pandering as much to Republicans and shit like that. But you have to keep in mind that was after freaking 8 years of George Bush and Dick Cheney, people. Like, that's a different situation than the one that Kamala Harris is in. She's in a very different situation than that. It's been 4 years of Biden, and before that, 4 years of Trump. But it's actually been a really long time since the American people have had just a quote unquote normal Republican as president. So I do think there's a fair amount of people out there in the country that have some nostalgia for that old school Republican Party, the John McCains, even the Mitt Romneys. I'm not saying it's a huge demographic, but out of the people that vote, I do think it's a substantial amount of the voting demographic. You know what I'm saying? So I just think comparing the strategy to Obama ignores the fact that Obama was, yes, he was running against the Republican Party because the Republican Party had just been in power for 8 fucking long years and everyone hated them at that point.
We had a little bit of the debate about whether it's smart to like run Liz or whatever, and I just
I didn't say it was smart. I said it wasn't a deal breaker.
And I said it wasn't a deal breaker either. I'm just saying these are things that you don't do when you want to run up numbers. These are like lateral moves, because I think Mitt Romney actually would be a way better draw and get on stage than Liz Cheney, who just like, if you want to do this Republican playbook thing, Liz Cheney's just not the right person to do it. She's in 3 states today on Monday with Liz Cheney.
Stupid.
And so I just like, if you want to go full Republican, there are more charismatic Republicans I think you could get on stage. That's kind of my point there.
We talked about Kamala going on Joe Rogan. Like, I think that's an advisable strategy as far as like reaching Republican people or reaching right-leaning people. Like, I think Republican voters will be more impressed if Kamala is able to go on a platform like that and hold her own, and they'll watch it and realize that she's not some insane far left radical or whatever. I think that kind of stuff is far more persuasive than trotting out Liz fucking Cheney, who most Republicans hate. Liz Cheney is is known, she's the ultimate
traitor.
Yeah, she's literally the ultimate rhino. Why the fuck would that would be like if that's literally like bringing out Tulsi Gabbard and acting like, oh, this is really going to impress Democrats. Like, there's 0 Democrats in this country that were impressed by Donald Trump bringing out Tulsi Gabbard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the miscalculation, and this is what I was doing a poor job of arguing earlier with. I think the problem.
I think you're doing a good job.
I think the problem is that their strategy that they are completely married to, of which I would not have directed, but I am begrudgingly accepting, is enough to get them across the finish line in this warped fucking hellscape we live in. Gavin's dying next to me because he can't stand their political strategy. And I agree. But I think they're deciding to portray themselves as, we are the party of everyone who is at all sane, right? And what they're trying to do is they're trying to demonstrate how far-reaching they can be across the aisle. Again, that is not a strategy that I would employ. But they're going to say, we're going to go so far across the aisle that even George Bush and Liz Cheney and all these evil, decrepit fuckers, Henry Kissinger, if he was alive, he would fucking endorse us, all these things, right? And they're going to use it as a way of saying, we are drawing a line in the sand of America, and we are saying you are either with this side of America or you are with that side of America, and it's horribly divisive, and it's not the best strategy in the world. However, I think because they're running against such a dog shit, defeated, down in the dirt, lost their luster Donald Trump, and because he was able to get through the Republican Party primary, now, he could have lost to run-of-the-mill Republican who would be eating Kamala's lunch right now. But because it's Donald Trump, they're able to employ this just dog shit strategy. And I think they're going to learn the wrong lesson from it, because if they try and run it again in 2028, they're going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it works. I mean, like I said, I think they're doing it for a reason. It's not like they're just doing it to piss off people like us. Some people act like, oh, like, I can't believe like what's going on. And it's like, yeah, dude, there's other people in the country that, frankly, if it would be repulsed if Kamala tried to impress us. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people in this country that if Kamala ran her whole campaign trying to impress us, it would turn those people off. And like, that's just the reality of fucking American politics, specifically in a general election. This isn't the primary. You know, the primary is when you get pandered to as a progressive or a lefty. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the general, and it's funny because I feel like lefties understand this when it comes to Trump. When Trump goes out there and doubles down on abortion, or refuses to say that he lost the election, Americans are like people on the left are like, what the fuck? What an idiot! He's just pandering to his base. He needs to win moderates. He needs to win independents. But then when it comes to like Kamala and she says something stupid and something that annoys our leftist sensibilities, people don't really understand that. Yeah, it does work both ways. And a lot of Americans are center right. You know, we talk about it all the time, but a lot of Americans are very center right, not because they're racist, but because they're really into like, going to the gym and listening to fucking podcasts about lifting weights. And guess what? Almost everyone in that community happens to be right wing. So they go where the herd is. Same thing with all these other cultural communities that the right wing has infested, from comedy to fucking, all this shit. You know what I'm saying? All the normal interests of people have
musical
been infested.
theater. no, like, yeah, I mean, I even think to be apolitical in America is like naturally like center right, to kind of just like be focused on yourself and not really care about what's going on. It's like, yeah, it's like kind of ingrained in like apoliticalness or whatever, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I just think that it's a lateral move with Liz. I did want to get into one last thing here, because there's been a lot of gambling bets on this election. And we talked a little bit earlier about Elon handing out $1 million checks. And now this is the next thing that's really making me raise my eyebrows a little bit. So Polymarket has now given Trump like a massive lead, like this like betting website or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. We've been
a bunch of like, yeah, that now a bunch of like fucking, groiptards and people are
up
all
13
saying
points in Pennsylvania, bro.
Yeah, but buy now, buy, and I'm putting this one in as well. This is Elon's tweet about it. But it seems like these are like I think Elon is doing this. I think Elon is just pumping this money into these fucking stupid betting markets, because Elon says here, Trump now leading Kamala by 3% in betting markets. More accurate than polls, as actual money is on the line.
He's like, I would know.
And I am curious, like, are betting markets like the new way that people are tracking this stuff? Like, will this have will betting markets like push people the way people think about the race?
Well, I think it's trying to desperately, but the reality is that most people are smart enough. And the other part of Polymarket that nobody's talking about is it's actually illegal to use if you're in any of the 50 states. If you're in any American territory, or you're not legally able to participate in Polymarket. So it creates the added hurdle that you have to be online enough to be comfortable getting a VPN or paying with cryptocurrency. It's that added layer of I'm a hyper online person now, because the gateway, the ease of use is no longer there. It's why there was such an explosion of sports gambling. When anybody could do it on their phone, they were so likely to do it, right? But if you had to make a Bovada account and set up a whole bunch of shit to hide out where you're going, oh no, I'm in the US Virgin Islands, that's where I'm playing from on my smartphone. Okay, now it's late, whatever, right? Because of that, and because it's so susceptible to the pump and dump schematics that you laid out with Elon Musk, where he's just been pumping it with a bunch of money to make it look like Donald Trump is up, I think there's a lot of cope involved. I think they're trying to manufacture momentum for Donald Trump via these kind of Polymarket websites.
Right.
And you can see a more right-wing dominated market like Polymarket has hugely different numbers than something that's backed by like scientific approval. Like if you go on to Predict It, you're allowed to do that because they got basically like a grant which allowed them to create the product for scientific studies, gauge how effective United States citizens are at guessing elections. And they didn't get renewed again. So it's limiting now more than ever what you're able to bet on that side, but it's a lot more effective at it, and you'll see a much closer race, even though sometimes people are way off.
Yeah, I've got some new polls here that came in from the WAPO Shar. So we've got Harris here, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan. She's like winning by like 2 to 3 points, it looks like, in all those. And then Nevada, we're tied up. North Carolina, Trump leading, and Arizona, Trump leading currently. And looking at this stuff, it's all still technically within that margin of error. And I'm not even sure at this point. We've talked a lot about what they've been doing wrong. I'm not sure what else can be done in the next 2 weeks to change this much more at this point. Like, is there any new shoe to drop? Like, I'm just really not sure. It seems like the Middle East war is already out of control. We've already had whatever this October surprise is, unless like Bibi like uses a nuke. But other than that, like, it's about as bad as it's gonna get over there right now, which is terrible. So yeah, I'm not sure. Does this race evolve? Does it have time left to evolve, or is this pretty much it?
I think the cake is baked, but what do you think, Gavin?
I mean, yeah, it seems like, in my opinion, the cake has kind of been baked since people figured out who exactly Kamala Harris was. Obviously, she experienced a bit of a drop in the polls after the honeymoon period ended, as some people predicted. But yeah, I think it's pretty much evened out. I just can't imagine that anything at this point could change anyone's mind, specifically with Donald Trump in the race. Everyone knows who Donald Trump is. I do think the McDonald's stunt was smart. So maybe that helps. Who knows? But it's ultimately like, it's Donald Trump. I still think that Kamala Harris is going to win. It seems like she's, for the most part, done a pretty decent job in that, Fox News interview. Tim Walz has been doing a pretty decent job in his media appearances. So, I don't know. It seems like, obviously you can obsess over, there's a point or two here or there that fluctuated in whatever poll. But yeah,
I think, only time will tell, though. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And by time, we got 2 weeks and then this thing is fucking over. It's like European timing where it's going to be gone in an instant. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I certainly hope Elon Musk is not running parts of our government very soon, because that would be very upsetting.
Yeah, that's so scary.
I've got liberal brain rot until then. Until I find out I'm lib pilled, because it's all I can do for myself.
I don't even judge that. That's fucking fair, because it would just be so annoying. Like, so annoying, fucking annoying.
Not only that, dude, our entire lives would be fucked, dude. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be an inflationist or whatever, but dude, 5 Supreme Court justices from that man, dude, you'd have to stack the court. Good luck getting a president to stack the court. Do you see how it starts to all unravel, people?
Well, if you want to do the Supreme Court argument, that shit's already pretty cooked. Like, the only way
you're gonna get worse, because they're gonna retire and then he's gonna add 40.
No, I know, but it's like, do you want to like lose by like 3 justices or 5? You're still losing no matter what. Like, I don't care like how epic.
But there are also going to be people that will allow him to do whatever the fuck he wants, and so make sure that there's no accountability of his presidency.
You haven't even let me finish my sentence. Supreme Court is not going to get fixed in any way until we start to have like term limits. Like, that is like we have to get rid of the lifetime appointment. I know people talk about packing, people talk about all that sort of stuff, but just starting with term limits is going to be the real way that you get out of this over the next half century.
Well, that's
but yeah,
that's definitely not going to happen under Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
Let's end on Arnold Palmer. Let's end on something fun. You guys saw this, right?
I did not see whatever you're referencing. No, let me pull up our DMs really quick.
I'm gonna
the way I Palmer. You know what I mean?
I'm putting it in StreamYard. Let's end on something.
Oh yeah.
Fun.
Also, Gavin, maybe you can help us figure out why the fuck everybody complains about our audio from StreamYard when
they're saying it's choppy.
They were saying it was choppy.
So Trump, he's got his policy positions and his issues, and he's just unveiled a brand new one, Arnold Palmer's penis.
But Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this guy, this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough, and I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, "Oh my God.
What?
That's unbelievable."
Can you pause real quick? Isn't the Arnold Palmer, what, I can never pronounce it right? Isn't that like the gayest drink ever? Like fucking lemonade and iced tea or whatever. He's acting like, this is the manliest fucking shit ever.
He was a golfer. So he was a famous golfer, and apparently he had a huge dick. Like, there's a few things I love about this clip. He's like, first of all, this is so unprompted. Shower with the pros. Like, where did he hear this from? Like, who told him about Arnold Palmer
because golf is
showering
a
with the
sport where you
pros?
famously work up a big sweat in. Like, what the fuck? You get driven around in a golf cart and then you fucking have a guy carry your shit for you.
Was this guy actually known for being like incredibly manly or something? I don't know anything about him. I just think of an Arnold Palmer as not being a manly drink. I think of it being sweet and like there's not really any
We're
alcohol.
talking about the guy.
Yeah, I know, but like, I mean, they named the drink after him for a reason. The dude
Sure.
was probably constantly drinking one or something. Like, I mean, if someone named something to Zach Polston, it probably would be at least tangentially related to your drinking
I mean,
habits.
lemonade and iced tea. Let's not pretend that it's so feminine to enjoy.
I'm not, dude. I'm feminine as fuck. I love feminine shit. Pink is my favorite color. I'm just saying, no one goes around calling me manly.
True.
But they do say you have a giant hog when you get out of the shower. Whenever
That is something that's been said.
like that'd be so great. Like 20 years from now, me and Zach are like campaigning on the stage, and we're like, and Gavin, wow, when he showers. Like, I love that.
You heard a lot of things, folks. You heard a lot of things about Gavin, but one of the things you did hear, whomp of his swinging dick when he would come out of the shower. It would just rattle the lockers on either side. You know.
Many people.
I also like that
Gavin's gonna get a lot of women that are disappointed when they're hit.
he prefaces it right before he says it. He prefaces, and I refuse to say it, which is the funniest way to start saying something, because it's like, wait, you refuse to say it. You're like, no, people want me to say it. I won't, but here it is. It really reminded me of Kanye's Jewish doctor line. Is be like, I won't say what doctor it was. But anyways, so Jake Tapper was uniquely offended by this. Jake Tapper was very offended by Arnold Palmer's penis, so much so that he took it to Speaker Mike Johnson. I've just put this here in the chat for you guys to play. He grilled Speaker Mike Johnson on Arnold Palmer's penis. Let's take a listen.
Why is he talking about Arnold Palmer's penis in front of
Jake, you seem to like that line a lot. Let me tell you that rallies nonstop around the country.
Let me just say something. I don't want to be talking.
Hey, no homo. How big was his cock though? Was he hung like a horse, bro? I mean, no homo. But I heard that it's like it's like a walrus down there. You know,
I love that Speaker Mike Johnson's goal was like, oh, you're gay. You're gay for asking this.
Whoa, bro. I'm not no homo, but did you ever touch it?
Talking about
All right.
Donald Trump is out there saying it. It is.
But you continue to.
Arnold Palmer's penis. That is a fun thing to say.
Why we need to take this seriously. We need to take this very seriously. This threat to democracy. Arnold Palmer schlong. That is the thing. Is like the libs, whether it's with the McDonald's appearance or Arnold Palmer's penis, they can't admit when Trump is being fun. And like it's like they want it every moment to be a threat to democracy. But you look like that when you're mad about Arnold Palmer's penis, when you should just accept it.
I kind of had a somewhat similar reaction to the recent liberal meltdown over Trump dancing for 40 minutes and listening to music at the rally or whatever. And maybe however, that might just be because of the insight that Circle Jerk listeners also have. We covered that article back in the day, many moons ago. Remember about how Trump loves to DJ at Mar-a-Lago, and he'll just stand there for like 2 hours, like going through his favorite songs on the playlist, bro. That article is the first thing that came to mind because I was like, I know what he's doing. This is his favorite thing to do. Of course, he's going to take the opportunity to DJ for a hot second, soak in the vibes. But everyone else was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. He's and it was funny. But you're right. It's like some things Trump does are dumb, but like the Arnold Palmer thing, but like freaking out about it, like trying to act like it's a threat to democracy, or like it's like a clear sign that he has dementia or whatever. Like sometimes people just say stupid things. I do think that overreaction plays right into Trump's hand.
Yeah, apparently his memory is sharper than ever if he can just so detailedly break down this old prose story. But yeah, that's where we are. It's all a threat, and 15 days out. Any last thoughts, guys?
America, You and me,
Ooh, ooh.
America.
Circle
We're
jerk
circle
America.
jerking.
How's your
Oh,
hey, what happened to your car, dude?
It got destroyed. Oh, remember the racist Whomping Willow is actually something we plan to
Oh.
discuss. So maybe that can be
Ra-
our final
against-
topic.
Racist against whites.
Yes. Yeah. No.
so we're getting our comeuppance.
Yeah. No. Zach's tree destroyed my car.
Technically, it wasn't my tree. It was the neighborhood tree.
Well, it was pretty close to your house.
It was
bro.
pretty close.
It was
for
pretty
sure.
close.
But he got the parked across the street.
No, I was literally just parked under an innocent tree, a shade tree, and then I walked out, out to my car the other day, and there's a massive tree branch on the windshield. The windshield is all cratered in, tree branch sticking through the front. Zach likened it to the Whomping Willow, which then you suggested might have racial, some racially problematic
malice in its heart.
Chat, am I crazy? The racist Whomping Willow. I heard it was racist like a while
I
ago.
didn't like the Irish, and that's why I went after the Weasleys, because I've experienced a lot of that kind of bigotry in my life. People, they say, Zach, are you Irish? And I say a little bit, and they say, oh, and I'm saying, wow, this is my cross to bear.
I'm gonna come back next week with a whole breakdown on why the Whomping Willow is racist. Because I didn't make it
womp
up.
on my willow.
Yeah, till I Potter. Okay.
Potter. Anyway.
Guys, we'll see you next week. Love everyone in the chat for hanging out. Thanks. Sorry for all the tech.
We're gonna go drink some Arnold Palmers now.
Yeah.
So peace, guys.